Right. I mean, outside of your traditional or historically commission only spaces, I mean, you have your obvious, like your real estate agents, your, you know, mortgage brokers, insurance agents, so on and so forth. I mean, there are some positions in, say, B2B sales where commission only or commission, that 100% commission compensation is standard. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but like just for example, advertising sales, magazine ad sales, that kind of stuff. Like, there's plenty of businesses that were built on that. But when we talk about it, we're thinking about it more from the standpoint of non traditional commission only sales positions. In other words, jobs that are normally not commission only, but owners and or small businesses want to hire commission only reps because they don't want any of the risk. And a lot of times that's because they've had a bad experience with a sales rep that they gave salary to. But the failure is only to some degree on the rep. I mean, you also have to you have to look at the lack of process and structure, and not to mention not generating inbound leads. I mean, there's all kinds of things that go to why that doesn't work. I mean, so not that long ago, I would have said there is no way commission only makes sense anymore. And I would have said that years ago, but I mean, up until very recently, I would have said commission only absolutely does not work in most businesses in B2B. Don't even think about it. But I've changed my tune, and here's why. I think as long as you're driving, I mean, for a few reasons, but as long as you're driving inbound leads, right, for a rep to work with, commission only is fine, because the whole problem with commission only, if you want the rep to do the cold outreach and the prospecting, is that the pipeline build takes too long. I mean, it used to take 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, in the early days, we'd say it only takes a couple of weeks. But then we said 4 to 6, I was saying a couple years ago, and now I would say 2 to 3 months. So in a normal situation, if you're asking them to prospect and generate their own leads and generate business from that, well, it doesn't make any sense. It's not practical, right? I mean, it's going to take 2 to 3 months to build a pipeline. They're going to make a sale. They've got to wait for their clients, effectively the business, to get paid, and then the business is going to turn around and pay the rep. That's going to take 4 months. How many people do you know that are looking for a job that can wait 4 months to get a paycheck? They can't. If they're going to wait that long, they just go start their own business, right? But if you're driving them inbound leads, which now you should be, because cold prospecting doesn't work on the phone well enough anyway. It doesn't make any sense to have reps in the United States, reps in general, but especially reps in the United States that are making guaranteed wage of $25 an hour for business development. And obviously when you get into salespeople's salaries at 75, 90, 100,000 plus, it doesn't make any sense for them to be doing cold outreach on the phone. If again, we talked about this earlier, if you have a wide net to go after, right? So a wide audience. So I want the company, I want the business to be driving inbound leads. Now commission only can make some sense because you're driving them inbound leads, so the ramp up time is so much faster. So that's one reason I would say that commission only can make sense again. The other reason I would say, and this goes to the advantage for the employer and the business, is that the demand from the job seeker side for remote work is so high. And the total sales staff is being reduced in companies, right? Across the board, we're seeing a reduction in sales level, account executive, account manager people as a whole. That's what we're seeing, right? For, again, what we talked about earlier. So I would, the business then has the advantage, right? The job seeker is desperate for remote employment. There's tons of sales talent out there and experienced sales reps out there starving for remote opportunity. So you've got enough people to play with that you can find really, really good talent. Experienced people if you want that, but really high level talent. You drive them inbound leads, and now they have no choice but to make it work, right? It's not that long ago when I would say, well, it doesn't really make sense because they're just going to turn around and go find a salary job and keep looking for a salary job while they're supposedly working on commission for you. That's not the case anymore because they can't find the salaried position anymore, right? There are just so few remote sales jobs with a guaranteed compensation I mean, there's obviously a good number, but the number of reps looking for remote work just completely obliterates that number. I mean, we put a remote sales job out there with guaranteed compensation without putting any effort behind it. We're going to get 100 to 200 applicants a day. I get 1,000 a week without breaking a sweat. So the demand to work remote is so high. The demand for is just insatiable from the job seeker side. So what I would say to employers is, look, you can take advantage of that and bring in commission only, but do it in a way that's going to work, right? Don't waste your time and the rep's time forgetting the ethical side of it for the time being. Don't waste your time and the rep's time asking them, hiring them, recruiting them, saying, oh, you're going to make all this money. And oh, here's the list, cold prospect. And, it's 3 months in and they just make a sale. And now that, they're starving to death. Like you can't have that. It doesn't make any sense. You're going to have too much turnover. These people are going to ghost on you because they're not going to see the light at the tunnel. They don't have that kind of staying power and intestinal fortitude to prospect like that and wait that long. But if you give them inbound leads right away and all the time and you fill their schedule, now they get something to work with, right? And then on the flip side of that, they don't have very many opportunities for a base salary plus commission, because they're a needle in the haystack when they apply, because there's just so few jobs relative to the demand from the job seeker. So now you're going to get the commitment from the rep at a higher level than you would have not that long ago. So that's why I've changed my tune. I think commission only is viable. I think rep selling for more than one company is viable. I think, again, it goes to the bigger picture, and we could talk about this when you wanted to jump on that other topic, but, eventually, a lot of people are going to be in business for themselves. They're going to be, freelance, independent contractors. They're going to be selling for multiple companies on a commission basis, 2, 3, whatever. Maybe they carry multiple lines and they're selling 5 lines of something that are all related and they're going after the same buyer. But that kind of thing, which is almost old school in a lot of ways, is now going to come back because they don't have any other choice. I mean, they're going to have to make a household supporting income, right? And if they can't find it, they're not going to go, most sales reps are not going to go work at a retail store. They're not going to go do hospitality. They're not going to do those kinds of things because it doesn't make any sense. If it's an emergency to pay the bills, sure. But they're going to look at it and say, look, I like sales. I want to work from home. I'm not finding base salary opportunities plus commission opportunities. I'm not getting enough interviews. I'm not getting the job. I've got to do something. So let's throw myself into this and let's make it work. And then, hey, then let me figure out a couple other people I can sell for in a related space if it's necessary. And I can make a living out of it. And now I'm selling for multiple companies or selling multiple lines or whatever the case is. So yeah, I do think now, again, commission only is viable. And again, that's changing my tune from not all that long ago.